Most visitors to Cape Town never cross the mountain, and they leave having seen a stunning city, but missing the half that makes it unlike anywhere else on Earth. This guide delivers a complete 5-day plan, exact booking windows to prevent wasted mornings, and a cliff road blasted from a mountainside leading to a beach where 3,000 wild penguins share the sand with swimmers. This is how to spend 5 days in Cape Town, South Africa. Let's dive in. Getting there and settling in. Most visitors fly into Cape Town International Airport, around 20 minutes from the city center by car. An Uber into town runs around $10 to $20 and takes 20 to 30 minutes, while the My City Airport Express bus to Civic Center costs around $5 and takes about 30 minutes. Base yourself in the City Bowl or Sea Point rather than further out. Both sit within easy reach of every day in this itinerary, and accommodation options for every budget are covered in the practical section below. Day 1. The Mountain and the Malay Quarter. The rotating cable car ascending Table Mountain completes a full revolution on its way up, meaning every passenger arrives at the summit facing a different direction. At the top, 3,000 feet above the Atlantic, the entire Cape Peninsula unfolds. The city below, Robben Island to the north, and 12 distinct mountain ranges on a clear day. The scale of it makes the city beneath feel implausibly small. The aerial cableway departs from the lower station on Tafelberg Road. A return ticket for international visitors costs around $25 online through webtickets.co.za. Booking online saves the ticket office queue, which in peak season runs 40 minutes in direct sun. The cableway operates daily from around 8:30 in the morning, weather permitting. Allow 2 hours at the summit. Book at least 1 to 2 days ahead in summer between November and March. The detail most visitors miss. The summit is far larger than it looks from below. The walking paths extend almost 3 kilometers across the flat top, and the far western edge, a 20-minute walk from the cable station, delivers an unobstructed view of the Atlantic dropping away below Camps Bay that the main deck cannot match. Almost nobody walks that far. Tours and experiences for Cape Town are linked in the description below. The afternoon belongs to Bo-Kaap, the neighborhood of cobblestone streets and brilliantly painted houses, stacked on Signal Hill above the city center. Lime green, canary yellow, and cobalt blue walls built over 3 centuries by the Cape Malay community, whose descendants still live here. Walking the upper lanes in early afternoon, when the colored walls catch full western sun, produces photographs no postcard version prepares a visitor for. Bo-Kaap is free to walk and sits 15 minutes on foot from the CBD. Allow 90 minutes. The residential lanes, the Nurul Islam Mosque, and the Bo-Kaap Museum on Whale Street are all worth a slow circuit. Museum entry costs around $1 for adults. What most guides do not mention, the best street photography is not on the heavily photographed block of Chiapini Street, but on the parallel lane 2 blocks higher, where the gradient creates longer sightlines and Table Mountain appears behind the colored facades. For dinner, Bo-Kaap Kombui sits high on August Street with sweeping views toward the city and mountain. Order the bobotie, a spiced curried meat bake with a golden egg custard topping that is exclusive to South African cooking, and the denning vlei, slow-cooked lamb in tamarind and local spices. Budget around $20 to $30 per person. Waterfront restaurants 15 minutes away charge the same prices for food with no connection to Cape Town's culinary heritage. Tomorrow, the itinerary moves to the water, and the island sitting 3 miles off the waterfront holds a cell that changed the course of an entire country. Day 2, History and the Atlantic Seaboard. The ferry to Robben Island carries passengers across Table Bay toward what looks, from a distance, like a low green hill in the sea. It is only on arrival, walking through the prison gates and down the long corridor to Nelson Mandela's 8-foot cell, that the weight of what happened in this ordinary-looking place becomes fully legible. The tour runs from the Nelson Mandela Gateway at the V&A waterfront. Tickets for international visitors cost approximately $33 per person, covering the return ferry, an island bus tour, and a guided prison tour led by a former political prisoner. Ferries depart at 9 in the morning, 11, 1 in the afternoon, and 3. Tours operate on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays only. Book through robben-island.org.za at least 1 week ahead in peak season. Tours sell out days in advance. Allow approximately 3.5 hours for the full experience. The insider angle, the most affecting moment on any Robben Island tour, is not Mandela's cell, but the limestone quarry, where prisoners worked under guard in blinding white glare and developed eye conditions that lasted for life. The guides who survived it speak about the quarry with a quiet fury that no exhibit can replicate. Asked to spend longer there, the afternoon moves to Camps Bay, the Atlantic Seaboard neighborhood below the 12 Apostles, where the water, fed by the cold Benguela current, turns a color between teal and ultramarine. A coffee or beer on the beachfront terraces runs $8 to $12. The coastal path from Camps Bay to Glen Beach, a 20-minute walk north along the base of the mountains, costs nothing and is almost always uncrowded. For dinner, La Boheme on Main Road in Sea Point, 10 minutes from Camps Bay, serves a bistro menu at around $25 to $40 per person. The Camps Bay Strip charges the same. The view premium disappears at night, and Sea Point's crowd is local rather than tourist. Most visitors spend day 3 at wine estates directly east of the city, but the valley an hour further south was settled by French Huguenot refugees 300 years ago, and the difference shows in everything from the architecture to what ends up in the glass. Day 3. The Wine Valley. Franschhoek was founded by Huguenot refugees who arrived in the Cape Colony in 1688. And their influence embedded itself so completely that 300 years later the streets carry French names and the oldest estates still produce Chenin Blanc and Semillon from vines their founders planted. The valley is enclosed by mountains on 3 sides, trapping warm air into a microclimate that produces wine unlike anything else in the Western Cape. The Franschhoek Wine Tram is a hop-on, hop-off vintage tram and open-air bus looping through the valley across 8 color-coded lines, each visiting a different selection of wine estates. A tram ticket costs approximately $15 per person, booked at winetram.co.za. Individual tastings at each estate run an additional $2 to $8 on top of that. Cover 3 or 4 estates comfortably by departing on the first tram from around 9:30 in the morning. Book at least 1 week ahead in peak season. Popular lines sell out on weekends. The insider angle on the wine tram. Most first-timers default to the busiest stops. The estates that draw fewest visitors, farms like Rickety Bridge and Vredian Loost on the Purple Line, are rated as highly as the famous names and offer unhurried one-on-one tastings that the large estates abandoned once the coaches started arriving. For lunch, Reuben's in Franschhoek Village, the restaurant of South African chef Reuben Riffel, located on Daniel Hugo Street just off the main road, serves a menu of classic favorites and seasonal dishes at around $30 to $45 per person. Book at least 24 hours ahead. Dinner is back in Cape Town at the Potluck Club, tucked inside the old biscuit mill in Woodstock. It is a small plates restaurant built around Cape Town's mixed culinary heritage. Think pickled fish, peri-peri lamb ribs, and sharing plates that run $6 to $15 each. Budget around $30 to $40 per person. Book at thepotluckclub.co.za. Walk-ins are rarely seated. Tomorrow, the itinerary heads south down the Cape Peninsula, and the road carved along a cliff face between the sea and the mountain is one of the most technically remarkable drives in the world. Day 4. Peninsula and Penguins. Chapman's Peak Drive is a 10-kilometer road blasted directly into the cliff face over 7 years between 1915 and 1922, with the Atlantic 600 feet below on one side and sheer rock pressing in from the other. Driving it at slow speed with the windows open, the exposure of the engineering is visceral in a way that no photograph from a moving car ever fully conveys. Drive south from Cape Town via Hout Bay to the Chapman's Peak tollgate, approximately 40 minutes from the city. The toll costs roughly $4 each way, payable by card. Allow 30 minutes for the drive and stop at the dedicated viewpoints along the route. The detail worth knowing: the best views are southbound in the morning when the light illuminates the cliff face directly. Heading north in the afternoon, the rock face is largely in shadow. From Chapman's Peak, continue south to Boulders Beach in Simonstown, a sheltered cove behind large granite boulders where roughly 3,000 African penguins share the sand with swimmers. Watching penguins waddle across white sand with False Bay sparkling behind them registers as one of those genuinely surreal travel moments. Entry costs approximately $12 for international visitors, payable by card only. Open daily from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening. The best-rated Cape Peninsula tours combining Chapman's Peak and Boulders Beach are linked in the description below. The insider angle at Boulders. The swimming beach itself is 50 meters further along the path from the main boardwalk and almost always emptier. The penguins wade freely into the water here alongside people. Most visitors never walk past the first viewing deck and miss it entirely. From Simonstown, continue approximately 20 minutes south to Cape Point, where cliffs rise 250 meters from the sea. Park entry for international visitors costs approximately $28 per person, payable by card. The Flying Dutchman funicular to the lighthouse costs around $7 and saves a steep 15-minute climb. Allow 2 hours. Gates open at 6 in the morning and close at 6 in the evening between October and March, and 7 in the morning to 5 in the evening between April and September. For dinner back in the city, Harbor House on Key 4 at the V&A waterfront serves grilled yellowtail and fresh linefish at around $35 to $55 per person, the right setting to end a day that was entirely Atlantic. The last day turns to the city's interior, and the neighborhood Cape Town's creative community built inside a former industrial district is worth considerably more time than the standard itinerary gives it. Day 5. City depth and farewell. Here is what the standard Cape Town itinerary consistently overlooks. Between the CBD and the mountain, the city built a second creative neighborhood with a weekend market that is the most honest single window into what Cape Town actually looks and eats like when it is not performing for visitors. The Old Biscuit Mill in Woodstock hosts the Neighbor Goods Market every Saturday and Sunday. Saturdays from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Sundays from 10 in the morning to 5 in the evening. Vendors sell Cape Malay pastries, fresh oysters, craft charcuterie, single-origin coffee, and small-run local clothing inside the former bakery workshops. Entry is free, budget $15 to $25 for a full morning of food. The insider angle at the Neighbor Goods Market. The back corridor past the main food stalls houses the resident craft and design vendors that most visitors walk past on the way out. The work is by practicing Cape Town artists and designers, not souvenir imports, and the prices reflect that directly. The afternoon belongs to Kirstenbosch National Botanical Garden on the eastern slopes of Table Mountain. The garden covers 560 acres of fynbos, the unique shrub and flower ecosystem found nowhere else on Earth at this scale. And the views back up toward the rear face of Table Mountain are entirely different from any view the city side provides. Entry for international visitors costs approximately $13. Open daily from 8 in the morning, closing at 7 in the evening between September and March, and 6 in the evening between April and August. Allow 2 to 3 hours. What most Kirstenbosch visits miss? The Boomslang Canopy Walkway. A curved steel bridge looping through the forest canopy is included in the entry fee and visible from above the fynbos in a way the garden paths cannot offer. Most visitors walk past the signpost without realizing it costs nothing extra. For a final dinner, Chef's Warehouse and Canteen at 91 Bree Street serves a shared small plates menu rooted in local South African produce. 4 courses for 2 people at around $30 to $45 per person. Bree Street runs 2 blocks inland from the tourist circuit. The pricing difference from the waterfront is immediately apparent. If any of those experiences caught the eye, booking options are linked in the description below. Essential practical information. Transportation, Uber trips run $5 to $15. A rental car is essential for day 4. Chapman's Peak and Boulders Beach are impractical by bus. My city buses cover Camps Bay and Sea Point for around $1. Accommodation, budget. Southern Sun Waterfront, $65 to $90 per night. Mid-range, the Westin Cape Town, $150 to $250 with mountain views. Luxury, one and only Cape Town at the V&A from $400 per night. Food, Cape Malay curry, Bolin Chenin Blanc, and Malva pudding wherever they appear on a menu. Weather, November to March is summer. Pack a windproof layer, the Cape Doctor wind arrives without warning. Booking strategy. Table Mountain and Robben Island should be booked immediately. Wine Tram and Potluck Club is okay to book 1 week out, and Kirstenbosch is fine to be booked at the gate. And speaking of planning, here are the 3 mistakes that consistently cost Cape Town visitors time, money, or both. Mistakes to avoid. Scheduling Table Mountain on the first morning without a fallback. The cableway closes in high winds that can persist for 3 or more consecutive days, and visitors with no flexibility lose the slot entirely. Book for day 2 or 3 instead, where online tickets stay valid for 7 days from the chosen date, and a closed cableway simply means rearranging the order rather than losing the experience, using the V&A waterfront as the default for every dinner. It charges 30 to 50% more than Bree Street and Sea Point for equivalent food, $40 to $60 extra per couple over 2 meals, and the premium is almost entirely the postcode. Reserve the waterfront for one scenic lunch and eat the rest of the trip 2 blocks inland. Driving to Cape Point without checking the baboon activity alerts first. Baboons break into vehicles with open windows or visible food, and the damage happens in seconds. Check sandparks.org before heading out. Keep food out of sight and close all windows the moment the car is left unattended. The counterintuitive truth about Cape Town is that the island prison where the tour guides are the men who survived it costs less than a cable car ticket, and almost no visitor on the mountain above ever goes. Which of these 5 days would you start with? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so the next guide lands in the feed. And check out the next video for another destination worth adding to the travel list.